Guys, thank you for watching. Here we are today with Yonkers Fire Department Commissioner, Mr. Robert Sweeney. Mr. Sweeney, thank you for taking the time to sit with us. I know you're a busy man, a lot of things to do, but being responsible to the community, it's an important thing. People need to know from the people in charge.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, and it is a very responsible position.
Now, Mr. Sweeney, we're trying to interview all the commissioners from key departments, fire department, police department, which we already did, the DPW. We need to know what's going on in your department. But to start, let's have a little bit of a background on who you are, where you come from, and what makes you be the right man for this job.
Well, I'm Bob Sweeney, as you said before. I come from a background in the fire service. I began in November of 1979 in the New York City Fire Department. I worked there until 2012, at which time I became commissioner. I was appointed commissioner of the Yonkers Fire Department, the post I currently hold today. I've been actually 2 terms as fire commissioner. After 2014 in August, a friend of mine was appointed commissioner of FDNY, Dan Nigro. He asked me to come back to assist him in that endeavor. I went back to assist him, and about 20 months later, the mayor, Spanner, reached out to see if I'd be interested in coming back as Yonkers Fire Commissioner. So I thought about it. I did enjoy my time here. I certainly enjoy serving with the men of this great department here, and I decided I would come back, and I came back in June of 2016, and I'm here today.
Now, Commissioner, you understand fire department. You were a fireman.
That's correct.
Correct? So for how long? How long ago were you a fireman, and how did you come up to this position?
Well, in most fire departments, there are different ranks. There's firefighter, lieutenant, captain, chief, various chiefs ranks depending on the size of the department. I became a firefighter in 1979. I was fortunate enough to take promotion exams in the New York City Fire Department. I was subsequently promoted to lieutenant, captain, battalion chief, deputy assistant chief, and then I was made the chief operations in 2009 in New York City.
Now, Commissioner, when a commissioner comes into a department, regardless of what department that is, which branch it is, they always have something that they want to implement. They want to improve the department that they work on. They want to make things best for the people who their works under them. What changes have you done? When you first came in, what did you think was the first or the most important thing that need to be changed or to make it up to current?
When I first got here, I wanted to, people were saying, he's from FDNY, he's going to make this just like FDNY. So I didn't want to have that label hanging over me. So first I just sat back for a couple months just to see how this department operates. I went to multiple alarm fires. I was extremely impressed with the aggressiveness of the firefighters, with the skill levels of the firefighting. They certainly attacked the fire very well, cohesively. They protected the surrounding properties. They just did a very, very good job. I was very impressed. One of the first things I did notice when I got here, they weren't wearing Nomex hoods, which is a thin layer you wear under your helmet, which adds added protection to the facial area, your neck, and such like that. So I did talk to the mayor. We were able to get funding in place. We gave every member out there two Nomex hoods to increase the safety of the firefighters going in there. We also looked at the training. We tried to increase the training. I think training and safety would be the hallmarks of any good fire department, any commissioner, any fire officer out there. If you have training and safety, you're on your way to a very good department, serving the community, being able to serve the community, not getting hurt themselves, and they're doing a fine job that way.
I don't think that anyone in Yonkers or the nation disputes the fact that our fire department in Yonkers is second to none.
I would agree with that.
Okay, quick, effective, and sometimes that quickness and effectiveness reduces the chances of an escalation in case of fire.
Certainly.
1 minute or 2 minutes makes a difference.
Especially with the modern building products they're putting out there now. When I started my career, the old couches were mostly cotton and wood, stuff like that. And if somebody dropped a cigarette on it, it would probably take 15 to 20 minutes for it to start going to a very large fire and involving the rest of the room there. And today's materials with the plastics and the other stuff they're putting in here, the foam, styrofoam, all the other polyurethane, such like that, you drop a cigarette on the couch now, and in about probably 4 or 5 minutes, the fire is incendiary, and it's a very large fire.
So sometimes that can accelerate the fire.
Yes, it's 2 or 3 times quicker than it would have been.
Exactly. So that brings us to one of the questions submitted by one of our members. If you go to Alexander Street and you see all those new buildings, it's what, 90% wood? In buildings that it's hundreds of units, is that according to code?
It is according to the code, yes, that's correct. But the issue there is every new multiple dwelling, I don't know what year the code, it's been a number of years, has to have sprinklers in these buildings going forward, in every room, every public area out there. So if there is a chance of a fire starting, the sprinkler, probably I think historically 98% of the time knocks down a fire in the incipient stage, prevents it from getting larger than that.
So no need for the people of Yonkers to be concerned about those buildings made out of wood.
Short of anything unusual, they should not be concerned. That's correct.
If everything is...
That's the trend in the national building products. I guess for some reason the price of concrete must have gone up. They're getting away from concrete and stone and going back to wood if they can. And anything over 75 feet has to be other than wood right now, but lower than 75 feet can be built out of wood.
So we're going back to wood, something that we came out of it a while back because it was dangerous. But now we have the sprinkler system that balances things out.
Correct.
Apparatus. How old is the apparatus, fire department apparatus nowadays? For my research, many of those apparatus already had passed the lifespan. They're already over. We need new apparatus in Yonkers. What are your plans to get it, and why haven't we got them yet?
I would say under this administration, we've been very fortunate, keeping our apparatus as modern as possible. If you go out there today, to the units out there today, you'll probably see a company from a 1-year-old apparatus, probably to an 11 or 12-year-old apparatus. But most of them probably 7 or 6 years or younger than that out there. I think 2 or 3 years ago, we got 4 new apparatus on the mayor's panel. So, while we're not where we think we should be, we're in a much better place than we were when we first got here.
There is always room for improvement, right?
There is always room for improvement.
We always want to be better and better and better. But are you satisfied that what we have now, the apparatus that we have, it's enough to support a city of this size?
Yes, I am satisfied. We combine with the DPW and the fleet mechanics over there, even the older age apparatus, which is not that old to begin with, but they keep them as long as they're working and they're safe to operate, then they're safe for our members to respond on and serve the public.
Now, what about programs that will help your personnel? Do we have any programs that to help them with stress, emotional issues? Because firemen, they go through hell.
Right. Well, the department has an EAP officer, Employee Assistance Program officer, and that member is specific. Everybody knows who that member is. It's the captain. John Halpin is the member's name. They have his phone number. The number's posted in all the firehouses out there. And if members are in need of assistance, they can reach out to him confidentially, and he can refer them to the necessary therapist or whatever the case may be.
Whatever needed.
Correct.
Now, I've seen a lot of hiring lately in the fire department. I get the communication, the memos for press conferences and oaths and all that stuff. And I see
promotions.
In promotions, I get all of that. But I have a feeling that those are really not additional firefighters. Those are replacement for firefighters that have retired. Am I wrong or am I correct on this?
Well, it's kind of a hybrid, the answer would be. 2 years ago, we graduated a class of 30 firefighters. We were actually overhead count at that particular time. This January, we graduated a class of 30 firefighters, and we ended up being about, currently we're down about 10 firefighters overall, head count within the department. And we're planning on putting a large class in August of this year going forward to get back up to the necessary head count.
Yeah, every year, I go to the State of the City address. And I hear Mayor Mike Spano talk about the improvements, the things that are coming up to our city. And that is something that he always been talking about for the last few addresses, is how quick is Yonkers growing. And he doesn't need to tell us that, because if we drive around Yonkers, we can see it. We can see new buildings, we can see new companies, Lion Gate is coming.
Right.
The city is expanding. But with that expansion, we need the fire department to also expand in order to accommodate that growth. How do you feel that expansion is happening in the fire department to accommodate the growth?
Well, first of all, the growth is ongoing. It's not, some of the buildings along the waterfront have been filled and occupied. There's many more that are in the planning phase and construction phase. I think if you look at our department as a whole right now, where our companies are situated and the amount of responses we go on, we can handle additional population growth at the current time. I think there is a plan. We did put money aside to do like an overall fire study, assessments and needs within the city of Yonkers. We had money in this year's budget. We're working towards getting that out there and letting a consultant or a professional tell us if we think we need more companies or need to relocate our staffing as necessary, depending on where the growth is going to be.
Firehouse 1, state of the art, beautiful. I was there at the inauguration. But it's not a new firehouse. It's a replacement of one that was condemned.
Correct.
Now, any plans for new firehouses? That is a question about Ridge Hill. Some people argue that Ridge Hill area needs a firehouse. Other areas of Yonkers need new firehouses because of the amount of people that Yonkers is getting. How do you feel about that? And why haven't we seen a brand new firehouse, not replacement?
First of all, as you said, Station 1's a replacement. The companies that were there have been relocated. They'll be back in, hopefully by mid-March, they'll be back in. They'll be an operable firehouse again. The Ridge Hill, there's a ongoing lawsuit between the fire unions and the administration as to try and get another firehouse built in that area. In my personal opinion, I think where we are right now is we're in a good place right now. And again, if you look at the amount of work each company is doing, I don't think additional companies are necessary this time.
You don't think so?
I do not think so, no.
It would not make the city any safer adding. So as a business decision, you don't think we need anything? We're satisfied with what we got at this time?
Yes, with the amount of resources, yes. And maybe relocating resources based on available land and such like that may make us more efficient. But I think for the current number of responses we do and the number of companies, I think we're in a good spot.
Now, a question that came from one of our viewers. It's within the high ranking, within the fire department, how many do we have that are minorities? Meaning blacks, Latinos, and others, compared to Caucasians?
I don't know, actually, the head count for that, or the racial breakdown. I know in the firefighters rank, we're every class since I've been here in 2012 has been very racially diverse going forward. The next step for them is to take a lieutenant's exam. Normally in the fire service, you don't get promoted until you have part of your grade is based on your seniority, your years in rank as a firefighter. So normally you don't get promoted till you have 9, 10, 11 years on, because you need the seniority score to help you add to your written score to score well on the lieutenant's exam.
Well, that's important to talk about it, because lots of people see racism in everything. I don't. I see requirements. You must take this test in order to pass, in order to be promoted. Because promoting someone based on race alone, the community is going to pay for it. We are going to suffer because maybe that person is not capable.
Right.
Because he passed based on different criteria. So let's just make it clear that to be promoted, you must take a test.
You have to take a civil service exam from firefighter to lieutenant is a promotion exam. From lieutenant to captain is a promotional exam. From captain to assistant chief is a promotional exam. So everybody who comes in as a firefighter knows if they want to get promoted, they have to start studying. They know there's a general consensus of what they have to study. People know in advance. They have study classes out there to help prepare these young firefighters to become lieutenants. And if they score well enough, combined with their seniority, they get on the list and hopefully they get promoted.
Now, how is your relationship, sir, with the fire unions, because when I look at the fire department from the outside, I don't see union officers, executives of the fire department. I see as a one, my fire department, my
Right.
Yonkers fire department. How is your relationship with the unions and the officers?
I would say my relationship, from my opinion, I think the relationship is very well. The firefighters are represented by Barry McGoey. There's 322 at full head count. The officers union, the lieutenants, captains, and assistant chiefs are represented by PJ Goldfeder. Both of those members do a very good job of serving their membership, respectively. And I'm here to talk to them. They come in freely. But you have a minute? I have an open door. Sit down with them. We don't always agree on things. Sometimes we agree to disagree, but we keep it professional. And I think they would agree we have a good relationship as well.
If you had to rank your fire department, well, let me rephrase it. What have you done different to better your department than the commissioners before you? Not better, but different.
Right. I don't know to what extent, like when members become a lieutenant, they come from firefighter to lieutenant. In the past, you would just be firefighter one day, the next day you're a lieutenant, you're leading a crew of 3 firefighters on various types of calls, emergencies, and structural fires. We put in place here, since I've been here, and it may have been a smaller compact, but I think we expanded upon it. We bring those members in here for a week of basically leadership training. They get training on leadership, they get training on how the paperwork, administrative, safety. They become, every officer since I've been here has become an incident safety officer, New York State certified. That was not done in the past. So while they're on the scene, whether they're operating alone with just their membership at a small rubbish fire or something, the officer is aware of the safety of his members out there. So I think that's a huge difference out there. We haven't had any significant injuries to any members since I've been here. We did have one member sustain burns to 2 hands fairly severely, but thankfully not life-threatening. So I think we're in a good place with that.
Now, Commissioner, I have a question here from Bill Sean, asking Rue, can you ask the Commissioner to respond to whatever the city will be purchasing a new Rescue 1 apparatus to replace the 12-year-old frontline unit that currently responds to alarms through the city of Yonkers?
We are actually requesting approval through the capital budget for a new Rescue 1 along with a new squad company this year as well.
What about the mutual aid? Does mutual aid impact the service that the Yonkers Fire Department provides to the city? In the sense of there is a fire there, you have to respond if they need help. Does that impact us?
I would say it goes both ways. That obviously mutual aid, that's kind of the definition of mutual aid. Everybody helps each other. There's a compact within the county of Westchester. And basically every year, if there's a large fire in another neighboring municipality, whether it be Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, Hartsdale, whatever, if they ask for assistance, normally the assistance is just to backfill their firehouse. We don't normally go to the scene of their fires.
Just
normally.
go to the houses.
Right. We would send 1 engine, 1 truck, and a chief to that location. And if they're going to be out for an extended duration, we would bring members in to fill the engine, ladder, and chief. That way we'd be back to whole here in Yonkers. On the other side of the coin is we have large fires. We probably have more large fires than the other municipalities do for various reasons. We get municipal aid in here, mutual aid in here to help backfill our companies and assist the citizens of Yonkers as we try to bring members in to fill up reserve apparatus to backfill our members as well. But I can tell you, since I've been here almost every year, we've received more mutual aid than we've given.
We receive?
Correct.
Now, Commissioner, let's move into something that it's not actually directly connected to fire department, but it's a very powerful tool in today's society, and social media. We have seen comments that are really not too nice for some members of the Yonkers Fire Department, more specific one, but have been others as well.
Right.
Well, that comment is perceived as a racist comment. Now, the person who made that comment responds to a fire, and it might be responsible to save the life of a minority person. How do you feel, or what policy do you have any policy that prevents people from the fire department to comment or make certain types of comments on social media. But further than that, regardless if they make the comment or not, that does not mean that they have a different mindset.
Right.
So how do you filter that people who are in your department are people with an open mind that see people as people and not based on the color of their skin?
Well, obviously I cannot read people's minds, so nobody can read people's minds, but we do have a social media policy within the department. I believe the memo you're referring to was almost in about a week or two, was served with a notice of discipline. He was suspended for 75 days without pay. And he took his medicine and he served that policy. And the member in particular had been working in the minority neighborhood, probably the busiest company in the city, for the previous 22 or 23 years. And he had an unblemished record. It's just something he put on social media that he pressed send when he should have thought before he pressed send. I think that sent a message out to the department. He's kind of the poster boy for expressing those kind of thoughts on social media. We may have had one or two other much minor issues with social media, and those members are going through the discipline process as well. So we, as a department, we serve the community. We don't look at what color you are. If you call for help, we're going to be there in a timely manner, and we're going to bring things, mitigate the emergency, and make sure things are back to a normal situation before we leave.
So you are confident that the state of mind of this person is not a reflection of how many others might think?
I am certain of that.
You're certain of that?
Yes.
And sir, is there anything else that you would like to tell us about the fire department? Something that maybe I did not ask, that you wanted to bring it up?
I would say the unions here are very involved in the community, both unions. They're very involved in the Ronald McDonald House. They're very involved in different charities, much more to a degree than from where I came from, so I'm very glad to see that. This is a tight department. It's small. It cuts both ways. Everybody knows everybody. Good news versus bad news. And I just say I'm personally honored to work with at full head count, 454 members of this department. We have a very small staff here. Overwhelming majority of our members are out there on those trucks every day, waiting for the call to come in and doing the best they can to make sure we help people.
Commissioner, I think it was last month, the deadline for the submit application for fire department for minorities was a state mandate, I believe.
I do believe it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was the entrance exam, the application to take the written test.
But focused on women and minorities.
No, the recruitment unit
Yeah,
that stood up was focused on women and minorities, but the overall application period, anybody could have applied.
Right. But why that focus?
Because the city of Yonkers, I believe, some other departments in Westchester County are under a Vulcan consent decree from, I believe, the 1970s that requires that recruitment unit being set up every time we go to give a written test.
Commissioner, I was talking to a young man, and I asked him, when you grow up, what would you want to be? You know what his response was?
No.
Yonkers Fire Department Commissioner. I said, why? You know what his answer was?
No.
Because he makes $364,000 a year. Is that a rumor, or is that true?
That is correct. I'm receiving my pension from the city of New York and my salary from the city of Yonkers.
But your salary from the city of Yonkers, how much is it? Can you disclose that?
Yeah, $200,000.
To me, it's well worth it. Okay, I think that every fire department or police officer, they should be the top pays. You risk your life, and I'm okay with it. But some people might say that it's a little bit too much, sir.
No, that's their opinion. They're
Exactly.
entitled to it.
I would not have a problem making that type of money.
And if he's just going to be commissioner without going to another department, he's only going to make $200,000.
Exactly.
Let him know that.
So, guys, you heard from the Commissioner Robert Sweeney, Commissioner of the Yonkers Fire Department. So if you have any questions, engage, ask. Maybe you have the time to answer, maybe not. But Commissioner, just one last question. If somebody has an issue with a comment made by one of your members, is that a procedure?
I don't know.
To file a complaint, is that a process?
They can certainly call fire department headquarters, ask to speak to one of the chiefs or myself. and we will certainly take it very seriously and address it and do what's necessary to make sure it does not occur. If it's a violation or something that shouldn't have been done or said, we'll make sure that that occurs.
But guys, please don't use social media to assassinate or slandering people. If your complaint has merits, then by all means file the complaint.
Certainly.
But don't use it just because it's social media and you can make your post go viral. If there is no basis for it, think twice before you click send or before you post. Stay tuned for more. Thank you, Commissioner.
My
I
pleasure.
appreciate it. Thank you to all of you guys for watching. Until next time.